Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Thank you for chiming in today. We know you got a lot of choices of podcasts out there, and thousands, maybe even millions now. I don't know. There's so many, but we thank you for continuing to chime in and listen to the Women in Leadership Talk podcast. We do our very best to bring you exciting and insightful and inspiring stories from women around the world. So if you can take just a second, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, review us, just let us know how we're doing. That keeps us going and keeps us bringing this great content to you. So I want to welcome you, and I want to welcome our special guest today. I have Tamara Coleman joining me from down in Georgia. Tamara, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Vicki. I'm looking forward to chatting today.
Well, likewise, and I think your story is very inspiring. So I can't wait for our audience to hear just how you've created this incredible business with incredible increases year over year. And so, audience, sit back, listen, take some pointers from how do you take something that you're inspired by or passionate about and turn it into your dream, your passion, your career. So let me give you a little feedback on Tamara before we get started. She turned her credit card limit into a multi-million-dollar business, building Bark Bistro from the ground up with no outside funding. And after competing on reality cooking shows like MasterChef and winning on the menu, she knew she wanted to create something meaningful. Her inspiration was to make a healthier, human-grade peanut butter alternative, not for herself and her family, but for her fur babies, her dogs. Starting with just one mixer in her townhouse kitchen, Tamara bootstrapped Bark Bistro into an 8-figure brand. Today, the company sustains 40 to 60% year-over-year growth, operates in a 25,000 square foot manufacturing facility, and has 15,000 plus retail partnerships with national distribution across Amazon, Chewy, Thrive, iHerb, and now Sprouts. Bark Bistro is poised to become the undisputed leader in its category. Even if you just listen to her bio, I mean, how inspiring is that? That you're sitting in your kitchen and you're thinking, you know what? This really bugs me to buy chemically infused products for my pets. These are my fur babies, and we're super passionate about our little fur babies these days. And so trying to find alternatives is incredible. And the fact that you were able to build this out of your townhouse, amazing. So let's jump in, Tamara. Give us a little insight before Bark Bistro. What were you doing? What set you up for this?
So you just touched on it. In my 30s, I didn't start Bark Bistro until I was 40. So in my 30s, I was food blogging and cooking. It was my passion to be in the kitchen. And I started pursuing cooking shows. I was on a TV show called On the Menu with Emeril Lagasse was one of the judges, Ty Pennington and Sammy Hagar, and ended up winning that show, which was amazing. And so that kind of fueled my passion to pursue more. I started pursuing MasterChef. But right before MasterChef, I had this idea for Bark Bistro, which was gentle cooked meals. And I was just now getting started. I hadn't really put anything in motion other than the idea. I was putting everything pen to paper when MasterChef presented itself as an opportunity. And at that time, I was like, what do I do? Do I go try out or do I keep focusing on Bark Bistro? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I drove down because Bark Bistro started in South Florida. I drove down to Miami to the auditions and just kind of winging it to see what would happen. And I was chosen. And I'm like, okay. So I put everything on hold for a moment and flew to California where we were sequestered for a week. And during that time, I'll just tell you a quick story. During that time, we were being shuttled over to the studio. And each group, you have a group that you go with every day. Each group, we were taken to P.F. Chang's one day after eating at the hotel and eating studio food. It was like great to be able to go to P.F. Chang's for something different. So we went and I got a fortune cookie. And the fortune cookie told me that I was about to embark, EMBARK, on a new journey. And at the time, I didn't think anything about Bark Bistro. I thought in my mind, I've been pursuing already all of the cooking shows, won the previous one. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm about to win win MasterChef. Anyways, a few days later, I was voted off and I took that fortune cookie with me, which today I still have the meat.
I love it.
So I came back to South Florida. And at that point, I started focusing on Bark Bistro. And it started and launched with General Cooked Meals. I had a South Florida regional distributor that was delivering the meals around town, and we had some local retailers. And then COVID happened. No one could have predicted a pandemic. And that's when the pivot happened into the peanut butters.
Amazing. Wow. I mean, first of all, the fact that you kept the fortune cookie and you paid attention to that, like really listening to your intuition, listening to your heart on this is something you were super passionate about, taking that risk and putting your hand out. Like, I love how you shared that story because there's so much richness in that awareness, being present with what's happening right in front of you, right? I
Yeah.
mean, most people would have just dismissed that and went, oh, that's an odd fortune cookie or this opportunity. Is it really for me kind of thing? But I love how you embrace that and decided to go for it. And often we don't, right?
Right.
And then years later we wake up and we regret and go, oh, I wish I had, or if only. And, you know, audience listening to this, like if you've got those little messages that are happening, listen, write it down, as Tamara was saying, like keep those notes, like what is gnawing at you, what's keeping you, interested.
Right.
So anyway, sorry, I get so excited when I hear
No,
that, Tamara.
I still get goosebumps about it. So,
Oh,
yes.
you should. You should. Well, and I love this story about because this is always a barrier for people. It's the financial or it's the how do I even get started? You took a single credit card limit and okay, I'm going for my dream. So, can you walk us through those first financial decisions and one money move that you believe was the biggest impact in that early stage or that you think people might get wrong because they don't take that risk?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned before, I was doing the General Cooked Meals, and those were supposed to, I wanted to expand the assortment, which is when I started thinking peanut butters. And that was going to subsidize the peanut butters. But when COVID happened, everything changed, right? So, we had to stop doing the food altogether. We were priced out of the market. We went from paying 70 cents a pound of beef to over $5. And even though everyone loves their pups, it was just too expensive. It wasn't going to work. So that's when I shifted and pivoted to the peanut butters, which I'd already been working on in the background. But I had a Discover card. I had an idea. I had $15,000 limit on the Discover card. So it was my motto early on because I had an idea that I was passionate about. I didn't have any outsource or outside funding. I didn't have any investors because there was no data to go to them with anyways, other than my ideas. So it was important for me to take the credit card. It was my motto to invest every dollar back into the business, only spend what was necessary, and then continue to grow the company that way and not do any I feel like sometimes a lot of people confuse spending with progress,
Mm.
where they'll go and immediately outsource everything, right? Like hire someone for advertising, hire someone for social media, hire someone for research and development. And it was important for me early on to make sure this worked for me. I was wearing every hat. I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to make sure that when the time came for me to outsource, that I knew and I understood what I was delegating and what I was looking for. So still to this day, the company's bootstrapped. I've invested every dollar back into the business. We have healthy reserves, which has been amazing. And the company, like you mentioned, has continued to grow 40 to 60% year over year.
Amazing. Amazing. So that passion, that focus, the discipline, like that's what I'm hearing, right? You
Right.
stayed really true to the mission. Let's talk a little bit about why. Like why, like yes, I know you love your fur babies, but why this? Like what was it? I mean, you're competing on MasterChef and you won on the menu. So why was the dogs really the inspiration and the why behind what you're doing?
It's funny. Everyone asks that question. They're like, you went from cooking for people and you're making peanut butter for dogs. And I'm like, yeah, but if you think about it, it all kind of goes together because today everyone's looking for a better for you food, right? And so it was important for me early on. If you look at the humanization of pets, right? And I've had fur babies my whole life, and they've all ended up with, as they get older, they get
Mm.
cancer or different diseases. And is it coming from the food? Is it, we can never figure out genetics, just like people, things happen within dogs. But, I started making peanut butter for my own dogs, right? And I wanted to make something that was healthy for them. When you go look at the grocery aisle, a lot of the legacy brands that exist have hydrogenated oil, palm oil, artificial sugars, salts, and it's not good for them. And
Or
yeah, or us, exactly. And I recognized during that time that no one was marketing peanut butter for dogs yet. There was a gap in the market. And I thought, okay, I'm going to reimagine peanut butter for dogs. I'm going to add superfoods, beneficial ingredients for them, banana, chia seeds, pumpkin, which is good for their gut and digestion. And that's when I started to think, I'm going to create a better for you line of peanut butter for dogs. And that's how it all got started. That's where the idea came from.
love it. Love it. It's funny when you were talking about that. Like, I lost my fur baby probably 5 years ago now.
Sorry.
And that was his favorite, was peanut butter. And I would like use all natural peanut butter, but I would put it in his Kong. He would just go crazy, right? He just loved peanut
Yeah,
butter. And when you see that and you're giving them something good, something healthy, like you feel good because these are like your children,
right.
right? And the when you lose them, the hurt is there's like nothing like it, right? Other than anyway, I won't go there because I'll get
No,
sad and
I
emotional because
know.
I miss him.
It's hard. They are our babies.
Yeah,
Yes.
they are our babies. And so I love that you're creating this alternative. And so how did you like what was that moment that you knew, hey, it's time for us to scale, whether that was in size with the manufacturing facility, but also like 15,000 retailers, that's substantial.
Yes. So this started in my townhouse kitchen in South Florida. I started with a Hamilton Beach food processor, and I went from one food processor to seven food processors. I'm sure my neighbors hated me. It had to be loud. And so my boyfriend finally, it was growing, and my boyfriend finally came home one day and he goes, "You have to get out of our kitchen." And I was like, "You're right, it's time." You know what I mean? I've maxed out making this here in the townhouse kitchen as long as I possibly can because it started just D2C with our website. And
Mhm.
at that time, when I was in the kitchen making it, it was still slow because it was such a new product. And we went door knocking. We went from Florida to Georgia to South Carolina trying to introduce the product to retailers. And 2 weeks later, I was doing follow up calls with them, trying to find out if they were interested in placing orders. And at the time, I was met with, "No, I just don't understand the product right now. I'm not sure." But the common theme question was, "Are you on Chewy or Amazon?" And I'm like, "We are not." And out of frustration, in the last call, I'm like, "Why does everyone keep asking this question?" And she's like, "Well, if we bring this in our store and our customer discovers it and they turn around and buy it on Amazon or Chewy their second or third time, we did all the marketing." And
Mm.
I'm like, that's such a dinosaur way of thinking. And I go,
Mhm.
the little retailer can't compete with e-commerce. Why would you potentially not bring in a product? So I knew at that time that I had to obviously go on Amazon and Chewy. So we tried to go the brick and mortar retail way first. And then, so I went on Amazon and Chewy. I fought for 2 weeks to get it listed on there. Finally, they don't tell you why they won't approve you. It's a guessing game. They finally approved us. First, that was in July of 2019. The first month on there was like $200. And then by December of 2019, it was doing 8,000 a month. And that's where the demand was. And I said, I agreed with him. We have to get out of my kitchen. So I went to a 2,000 square foot commissary kitchen and we had it all to ourselves because COVID was still happening. They weren't letting anyone new come into the commissary kitchen, and then they lifted the restrictions. So she calls me and she said, "Hey, we're going to have more people come in." I was like, "Oh, this is never going to work." And so
Yeah.
we went and got a 2,000 square foot kitchen space, and I was so nervous because I thought, "Oh my gosh, are we biting off more than we can chew right now?" Because it was bigger than we
Of
needed.
course.
But I knew we couldn't stay where we were at, so we went into that space. We outgrew it in 1 year. We went to a 10,000 square foot space, and I was super nervous because it was way more space than we needed. And we outgrew that in a year and a half, but we were locked in that agreement for 3 years. So we had to make it work. And now we're in a
Wow.
25,000 square foot facility. So scaling happened because, it did start in my townhouse before we went to all of these different, facilities that we grew into. But it started with Amazon, and the growth was gradual and steady. And that's what's continued to, it put us where we are today in a 25,000 square foot facility, which starting to feel
Amazing.
small.
I bet. Yeah, because you continue to grow it. And so, you know, 40 to 60% year over year, that is almost unheard of in a lot of industry, particularly like a retail environment. So how do you maintain the integrity and the quality of the products with growing so
Right.
fast?
So it was important that we didn't really just chase growth. We wanted to make sure that there was sustainable momentum. And so the other thing is, it was very important to me because it started in my kitchen. It started with a food processor. I didn't want to work with a co-packer. I wanted to
Mm,
make sure that we were the ones producing the product. That way we control quality, control consistency, and that way and still today, it's helped us. It gives us leverage over competition. We have the ability to quickly launch new SKUs. We have the ability to launch limited editions. And when you're working with a co-packer, you lose that quality and consistency, and you're also held to high MOQs. So where someone might have to get 5,000 or 10,000 per SKU, we can turn around and make 250 of something and have it introduced overnight. So it has helped us, being a self-manufacturer still today, continue to scale the business and grow it at the pace that we want to, while controlling
yeah.
quality and consistency.
Well, and what I hear there too is also the fact that you're super nimble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can flex on a dime if you need to. You can respond to the trends. You can respond to if consumers don't like something, you can switch that very quickly. And having that flex in a business is super important. And so how are you staying on top of what your customers are loving, hating, wanting more
Yeah.
of, wanting less of?
The customers actually have been the pulse of the business. And I say that because early on we started our social media page. We have a presence there, and we've created a community. So there's a lot of Q&A, there's polls that we do. We listen to our customers, and if you listen to them, they'll tell you what they're looking for. So it started with a 17-ounce jar. And yes, jars exist on the grocery aisle of your store. But we kept hearing, I wish there was something more mess free. I wish there was a different delivery method where, there's no spoon, there's no jar. And us being an all natural peanut butter, you have to make sure you're stirring it, mixing it well, because there's oil separation. And they kept saying, I want a different delivery method. And it got us thinking. And originally, we were considering a tear pouch, which was almost like a single serve. And we
Mm,
tested it. We got samples sent in so we could put our product in it and see how it would work. But because we're an all natural product, you have to knead it to mix the oils back in. Well, people don't always read. And so if they tear it open, it's going to be oil everywhere. You can't refill it and you can't mix the oil back in. So I
mm,
was like, that's never going to work. That's going to open us up to negative reviews, negative feedback. So we had to rethink, like, how can we get this different delivery method? And so the customers and everyone that we are communicating with within our social media, they're like, what about the baby food pouches? And that got me thinking. I was like, oh, that would be kind of a neat way of doing the squeeze pouch. It has to be resealable, right? And we're not just like, oh, hey, this is, most traditional treats are a single use treat. You go get the cookie out of the pantry, you feed them the cookie, they eat it, it's gone. We're a reusable, multifunctional daily tool. So where a lot of people are using it for pill masking, they detect it in food and cheese. They're using it for a food topper, maybe a little drizzle for the picky eater. So they'll eat their food. Enrichment and wellness is all the rage right now. So they'll put it on the lick mats. It's soothing for them. So it's become a daily tool for pet parents. So we had to think a resealable pouch, right? But listening to our customers, ultimately, it took us 2 years to get to that pouch, but they are what led us to the pouch. And they're now like we're 60/40. Squeeze pack 60, jars 40. They're surpassing the jars because everyone is looking for that convenient, mess-free delivery method. And we were able to deliver that by listening to them. Thank
Amazing.
you. Yeah.
Amazing. I love how you're listening to your customer,
Hmm.
right? I think so often we lose sight of that. I mean, I spent 30 years in the retail world, and people would say to me, Vicki, why do you spend so much time in stores? And that's why I did. I mean, this was a while ago,
Right.
right? But that's why I spent time in stores, was to hear, what are we doing right? What are we not doing that we should be doing? But really talking to the customer to find out like their why you're
Right.
there. So it's when you understand their needs, you understand, and no, you don't pick the person who wants one thing, but when you start to collect, to your point, like you have a mass audience that's saying the same thing, you have to pivot,
Right.
right? And fantastic that you're listening to that.
Yeah. I mean, the customers really have helped grow the business. They've been part of the
Mm,
business with us. Like you said, if you listen to them, you'll usually find out what people are looking for.
yeah. Yeah, good for you. Very
Thank you.
smart. Smart strategy. So Tamara, let's talk a little bit about those lessons that you've learned. So if you were starting over
Right.
today, right? And you have this business idea, because I know we have people in our audience who have that
Right.
idea, they have that dream, and they're like, you know, like what would you do different? They've kind of heard what you've done, but what would you do different, if anything?
I don't know if I would do anything different. This has been one of those deals where, I had an idea and I followed through with it. I think the biggest thing that people shy away from is just starting. And I think when
Yeah.
you have an idea, I'd rather live with the it didn't work instead of wondering like what if I had have done that
Mm.
later? What if I would have, so that's always kind of been who I am at my core anyways. I will try something if I feel strongly about it, but you never know what the outcome is going to be. I felt like quitting when COVID happened and we had to shelf the food. I poured a year of my life into that. And I'm like, I felt like I was abandoning something that I put all my time and energy into. But what turned out to be disastrous there ended up being something amazing when I pivoted to the peanut butters. And I felt like quitting the first 6 months of the peanut butters because there was no traction. And I was getting told no a lot. I still hear no today. But that's just part of
Of
the
course.
business. It's what it is. And so no, it's always no for now. It's a yes later.
Mm.
But I just follow your gut. If you have an idea, if there's something that you want to do, try it. What's the worst thing? It doesn't work out. This was a stepping stone for me. Like I was food blogging and then I wanted to make food for dogs and then that led to peanut butter and here we are today and it's been the biggest blessing and I am so glad that I followed my dream and my intuition. Yes.
That's super inspiring. And if audience, I said this, but if you're sitting there and you have that something gnawing at you and you're going, oh, should I, could I, what if? Take Tamara's story here. Like this is super inspirational, and just try it. You don't have to go full on, but try it, experiment. Like she said, go to your neighbors or whatever that is that you're innovating. It's how so many ideas have come to
Right.
fruition. And so those days that you felt like, "Oh my god, I just wanna quit," or "I just can't do this," what was it what was it that kept you going, that grit to say, "No, this is gonna
Well,
work?"
I think progress often feels like tension before success, right? And you hear people say most people quit right before it becomes something, right? And I didn't get into this business. I had to remind myself I didn't come this far to just stop, right? Ultimately, I didn't put in all this time, all this effort, and all this energy to just quit. So it really was what motivated me. Yes, there's been a lot of pivots and there's still hurdles today. It is business. That's what it is, but you just keep going. And that's really what it was. I didn't come this far to quit, and that's been my motivator.
Nice, nice. So, you've kept your eye on the
Yes.
prize and kept
Yes.
pushing, and, listening in, audience, like, I mean, that's really important, whatever that is, whatever that vision or goal that you have is, it's keeping your eye on the prize. So Tamara, what's next for Bark Bistro?
Well, we're continuing to expand our assortment. Like I mentioned before, we started with 17-ounce peanut butter jars. We're now, which we still have, but we also have added 4-ounce squeeze pouches. We do limited drops, limited flavors, seasonal drops as well. And we've just now extended to Butter Bites, which is a peanut butter ball. So we're sort of trying to stay in our lane and continue to expand on different formats and delivery methods of the peanut butter. Whether it's
Nice.
like, we're still trying to develop the recipe so it can become a pill pocket without 500 ingredients in it. That's a challenge at the moment, but we are creating these peanut butter balls that can be used like dog enrichment. They'll be able to lick them and distract them for 25 to 30 minutes, which a lot of pet parents like to do. Your dog gets bored just like we do. So maybe you're on a Zoom call, or maybe you're busy working, or and it's raining outside, your dog is bored, you give them this, and it's, a distraction, it's soothing for them. So yeah, so
Nice.
we're continuing to expand there. A little more treats. We are working on a toy so that we can pair it up with the Butter Bites and with the peanut butter. So that's what's happening
Excellent.
right now. Also, as I mentioned, I think we started as a D2C brand, and we were trying to go into brick and mortar, and we ended up going the e-commerce route first, which ended up leading the pet indie retailers to us. Today we're in over 15,000 doors, and that's now opened
Amazing.
up the door for us for grocery. We just broke into grocery this year, which is really cool because we're looking to become a household name. So we went into, I don't know if you're familiar with Sprouts and Fresh Market, Mother's Market in
Hmm.
California. And we're looking to do 3 trade shows this year. This is our first year ever going to trade shows. So we're doing Expo West, we're doing Global Pet, and then we're doing Super Zoo. So we're looking to become an omni-channel brand. We want to be D2C, e-commerce, pet indie, grocery, mass, and club. We want to become a household name, the GIF of the world for pets,
Pets.
but all natural, obviously. And that's really what we're looking to continue our assortment and to become a household name. Thank
Amazing.
you.
Love it. Love it. I know we have to wrap up, but for those that are listening, okay, and they're trying to build this business without funding, what are 3 skills that you think have been your success and that will help them to master building a business that will actually last?
Trust your gut. If there's something that you want to do, trust your gut. Just get started. Just try. Mistakes are part of growth. It is, you're going to make mistakes. I still make mistakes today. It's okay. We all learn from them. And just learning to trust your instinct. Not everything is meant to be. Quick problem solving and decision making. That's really where everything's happened for me on this end. Yes,
Love it. Love it. I just wrote down when you said that rejection is
it is.
redirection. And so not seeing rejection as a no permanently might not be right now. You might have to do other things, but that's opportunity to help you fine tune, finesse, find the right partnership, whatever that might be. But just know that rejection
It
is
really is.
redirection.
It's hard hearing no. No one likes to hear it, right? We all want the yes.
Of course not.
But the yeses do come. They do come.
Amazing. Love it. And so you talked about where people can find Bark Bistro. Sounds like, Amazon everywhere, basically. Like you're in a lot of
Yes.
different
We are
locations.
widely distributed
Yeah.
now between Amazon, Chewy, iHerb, Thrive, Walmart.com, Target.com, our own website, barkbistro.com.
I was going to say, ask that. Perfect.
Yeah, we're in over 15,000 pet indie stores between that and grocery. So we're pretty accessible. The idea is to become even more accessible in 2026, but we're widely distributed. Yes.
Awesome. Love it. So, audience, to all of our fur baby lovers, check out Bark Bistro if you want to make sure your pets are getting the freshest, best products. Like, give it a try, see what you think. And we'd love to hear, like, what you think, right? This little pouch thing sounds really cool because my guy was a very picky eater and I would have to dress things a little bit just to get him, to,
Right.
to eat it.
Right.
Tamara, thank you so much for joining us today. Your story is super inspiring. It's been lovely to meet you and just to learn sort of the journey that you have
Vicki,
been
thank you
on.
for having me. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I look forward to hopefully following up again one day and being able to discuss where we are in 2020, at the end of 2026.
There you go. Oh, I love it. I love it. This lady has goals. So, audience, you got to have that grit. So, thank you everybody for chiming in today. Tamara, as I said, thank you for joining us. And if you take a few moments, visit us at the Will Empowered website. It's 1L, WIL, womeninleadershipempowered.com. On that website, we have some free resources for you. You can take our leadership quiz, because being a great business owner or business person is about that self-leadership, but also how you lead others. So we have a free leadership quiz for you, and we have a couple of mini series that will help you really focus on habits and how to overcome fear. So check those out. Visit us there. Also, as I mentioned earlier, leave us a review. Let us know what you thought of the conversation, how this inspiration has impacted you. We'd love to hear. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you on the next Women in Leadership Talk podcast. Take care. Thank you for joining us for Will Talk, sponsored by Women in Leadership Empowered. To learn more about our programs, please visit www.willempowered.com. We look forward to seeing you in our community.